I'm excited to see what you got.
Okay, first we gotta get on our hats. So this is for me.
Okay, well, where's mine?
Okay, you get a choice.
Oh, it's a little elf hat? Okay, okay, that's so funny. Is my head too big?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, where's the other option?
Option number 2.
Option number 2, I don't know if option 1 will work.
Option number 2.
Obviously, option number 2. It'll be a little bit cut off when we're filming. Oh, it has a little bow! Oh, it's a little girl reindeer. Oh, obviously.
Yes. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the kitchen for our Christmas themed recipe video. So this is gonna be a good one. We're gonna show you guys how to make
stuffed butternut squash as well as homemade gravy.
Oh my god. And we will also show you how to kind of plate everything up, make it look amazing, and show you guys everything that's on here.
So the recipe for the stuffed squash as well as the homemade gravy will be in the description down below.
So every year we like to upload a Christmas video with some sort of recipes to give you guys some ideas on things that you can make around your holidays. And yeah, you probably have seen them. You know, we did a lentil loaf that's been really popular. A lot of you guys continue to make it year after year. We have one with a bunch of sides as well. But this year we wanted to do another main because that seems to be the most popular thing that, you know, people want and that they seem to duplicate. So this one is actually Crystal's idea. So what do you have for us this year, Crystal?
So we have a roasted stuffed butternut squash. So I saw some pictures of this stuffed butternut squash going around and I was like, what is this? Looked a little bit more into it and was like, this looks delicious. Let's see if we can make it our own. And I think we did a really good job at that.
Heck yeah, we sure did. So yeah, we're gonna show you guys all the steps. It's really not that difficult. It's so tasty. And the thing that I like about this is that it plates up so nicely and it looks like a real like Christmas loaf, you know? Like there's so many different like mock meat or vegan loaves on the market. And I know a lot of you guys that watch this channel like to keep it a little bit more whole foods than a lot of those, you know, kind of offer. So we think this is gonna be a great idea.
So let's get started making it.
All right, let's do it.
So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get a butternut squash and cut it in half and bake that. Because in order to make this a stuffed butternut squash, we first have to cook the butternut squash so we can hollow it out. So to do that, you just wanna bake your butternut squash at 375 degrees Celsius for about 50 to 60 minutes. Our butternut squash is pretty big, so it took about an hour and a bit to actually cook all the way through until it's soft. So that is the first step. Then you're gonna wanna let this cool down just a little bit, so when you're scooping all the insides out, you're not burning yourself. Yeah. So when the squash is cooling, then you wanna start preparing the filling, and you wanna start by roasting a 1/4 cup of pecans in a dry pan. These are gonna go in the filling a little bit later, but it's good to get them done and out of the way now.
All right, so while you're waiting for the pecans to roast up, we have some veggies to chop. So we might as well do that right now to make best use of our time in the kitchen. So we're gonna start with chopping up 3 cloves of garlic. And then you want to chop a 1/4 of an onion, then 3 stalks of celery, 1 medium to large sized carrot, and 1 medium apple. So the pecans, when they're done, they'll start to develop like a darker color, and that's when they're really delicious and really crunchy. So take these off the heat. So once you get all this chopped, you want to put it right into the frying pan. And then if you want, you could add a splash of oil, or if you want to do a little water saute, something like that. But you know, for special holidays like Christmas and stuff, and everyone else is gonna be eating this, it's nice to make it real good. So this is so funny. I feel like a giant. I usually use this one, but I'm using this one today. So while everything is sauteing in the pan, the next thing we have to do is add some herbs. So you want to start by adding 1 tablespoon of chopped dried rosemary, 1/2 teaspoon of sage, 2 teaspoons of thyme, and 1 teaspoon of savory. All right, yo, how long are we cooking this for? We cook this for about 7 to 10 minutes until it is nice and soft. So we're almost there. Yeah, pretty close. So the next step is to prepare the TVP. So we're gonna have to rehydrate this. TVP is textured vegetable protein. It's so delicious, has like a really nice meaty texture. Yeah. It's not really delicious on its own. It doesn't really taste like much. No, and that's why you have to. It has the potential to be delicious. And that's why you have to hydrate it and add a little bit of flavor. So to get the TVP ready, you want to put in 1/2 cup of TVP into a small bowl. Now add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/2 cup of water. Now you want to mix that up and just let the TVP hydrate a little bit before we add it to the saute. So once you get it all mixed up like this, you want to wait a few minutes until it has absorbed most of the liquid.
So once you add the TVP to the mix, you want to saute that for a few minutes, and then you want to get some wild rice. So we're using 1 cup of wild rice. We did cook this last night when we had dinner. We just made a little extra. However, if you're gonna make this from scratch, you just want to cook about half a cup of rice. That'll make about a cup cooked. It's super delicious in this recipe because it gives it a little bit more of like chewiness almost. Yeah. Oh, so delicious. I'll just scoop that right up there.
Teamwork.
Look at that.
More. And then the pecans?
We're gonna chop the pecans.
Oh, yeah.
We're not gonna want them in there whole. So now you can chop your pecans, and we're also, the last step, well, the second to last step before we season it with a little salt, we're gonna add some organic cranberries. Now these are dried cranberries, but they are sweetened with a little bit of apple juice. They're so good.
Yeah. So we like to just chop the cranberries a little bit, just because they are really big, these ones, so it'll help to kind of, you know, get more of the flavor into more parts of the dish.
Big handful.
And then you're gonna want to add a little bit of salt. So we're gonna add about a half a teaspoon, just under a half a teaspoon of salt. But feel free to, you know, completely leave it out. If you don't want to add it, you can always add a little bit on the end, at the end, to your food. All right, so the stuffing is all done, and it looks amazing, smells amazing. Let's taste it, so we don't want to be, you know, going forward with this if it doesn't taste good. Oh yeah. So should be mentioned, this is amazing just on its own. So if you wanted, you know, to have it just like this, or you wanted to use it for stuffing, or I don't know, anything you can think of, you can definitely just have it like this, but we want to fill up these squashes, so let's do that.
So once you take the filling off the heat, because you don't want it to be piping hot when you fill your squash, then you can start getting your squash ready. And so what we have to do is hollow these out, but there's a little bit of a technique to this. So you don't want to hollow these out completely, because you obviously want to have a little bit of butternut squash still in there, so when you cut it open at the end, you can see the stuffing inside,
right,
with some nice squash around it.
So I think this kind of gives us a good gauge, right?
Exactly.
On how thick we want it.
Exactly.
So you want to kind of duplicate that thickness all the way around, and you want to make sure you're not to go right through the end here. You kind of want to keep a little cap on the end if you can.
So scrape a little bit away, and then you just want to save that because that's delicious. And put that in a bowl, and you can eat it later, heat it up, give it to the dogs, you know, maybe the cats. Our cats love squash. Yours is looking professional over here.
So at this point, if you wanted to just like fill them both up equally like this and then roast them open face, you definitely could do it like that, but we really like the idea of having it like as a roast, so we're gonna keep going.
I gotta get in there with my hands a little bit.
No, you got to. And then, like, you got to kind of mold it into the shape of what you think the other cavity will be, you know?
Oh, it's a perfect. So technically, at this point, you can kind of just have it like that and put it on a pan and bake it, but we're gonna go the extra step and we're going to tie it. So if you're gonna use string, you have to use 100% cotton to tie this, or anything else will probably just catch on fire. We're not responsible for that.
Yeah, it's actually called butcher's twine. I learned this when I was out looking the other day for this stuff. I went to like 3 different stores looking for it, and everywhere was sold out. And then I went to a big grocery store, and they were like, hey, why don't you go ask the guys at the meat counter if they have any, because they're always tying up meat and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, really? I gotta go stand at the deli? I was actually so worried, like a viewer, like a subscriber was gonna come by and then just like see me at the meat counter, like waiting there. But I had my alibi. I was gonna be like, yo, I'm just getting the string, don't worry. But yeah, they got it for me, and I didn't even have to pay for it. So we got some free butcher's twine.
So there isn't really a special way to tie this. I mean, there are fancy ways.
There probably is a special way.
I looked them up, and I was like, wow, you can get really fancy with the tying of the twine. But I'm not tying it that fancy.
No, just tie it up.
So once this has been tied beautifully, then it's ready to be cooked. So you're gonna cook it for 25 minutes.
So yeah, Crystal came up with this tasty little gravy this morning. I was like having like my morning pre-workout and stuff, and Crystal's like, yo, try this gravy I just made. It was a little early,
I've been recipe testing a little bit, and it's fun. I had this like, I don't know, I just had this idea that came to me, and I was like, I need to make this at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Let's show them how to make it. It's good gravy.
So to get the gravy started, you want to chop 1/4 of an onion as well as 2 garlic cloves. And then you want to saute them in 1 tablespoon of oil until they're soft. So once the onion and garlic are soft, and as you can see, they're like kind of like a golden brown color. Oh my goodness, so good. You want to add 1/4 cup of flour. and mix that in. So this will make a very, very dry roux, and that's because we only use a tablespoon of oil, but no worries. We have 2 cups of vegetable stock, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add just a little bit, just to add a little bit more moisture to this, and to cook the flour out just a little bit more. So I'm just adding a little bit more vegetable broth until the vegetable broth and the flour kind of creates a little bit of a paste. So while that is still on the heat, you want to add 1 teaspoon of tamari. There you go. And then you want to add your herbs. So you want to do 1 teaspoon of rosemary. And we're going to be blending this gravy, so you don't have to chop the rosemary up. 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. And 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm quickly going to give that a mix. The flour mixture has been cooking for a couple minutes now, which is a good thing. You want that. And I know it does not look appetizing at all, and you probably all think I'm crazy, but it'll all come together, I swear. Now we're gonna wanna add all of the broth. And for this, I'm gonna change to a whisk. You do wanna make sure that you give this a good whisk though, because obviously there's still some chunks of flour and everything. Those will dissolve eventually, but you have to mix it pretty good. And I always turn the heat up just a little bit as well, because you want it to kind of like start coming to a boil, because that helps thicken it too. So once the gravy is about this consistency and you've cooked it for probably about 5 minutes, I would say it took, it's all finished and you're gonna want to blend it. I usually let it cool for just a couple minutes before I blend it, but it's YouTube, let's just do it. And then you're just gonna want to blend it until it's smooth.
All right, so everything's done. I'm so excited to cut into this, so let's cut it up, see how it looks, and then plate everything up. Wow, so you can see just how beautiful it looks. It turned out so nicely, looks so nice on the plate. So we're gonna have it with some roasted Brussels sprouts and candied pecans. We have made this in past videos, so definitely check the link in the description box if you want to see the recipe for this. And then we're obviously gonna have it with like a nice big salad with some tahini dressing. All right, so we've got it all plated up, poured the gravy on, poured the dressing on the salad. It is just ready to be eaten. So let's try this out.
First of all,
going for the goodness. First of all, we gotta try the butternut squash. So I should mention that you can eat the skin of the butternut squash, and it's really tender when you cook it like this. How good is that?
That's so good.
Mmm.
The butternut squash, when it is cooked really well though, the skin just like comes off so
it peels off. Well. You don't want to eat it.
You don't want to, so. With that gravy or whatever gravy your household makes.
Yeah.
So good.
Super good. Wow. Man, that filling is so good. How'd the Brussels sprouts turn out?
Delicious. I guess we have to try the salad.
I don't know. I'm alright. I ate enough salad. Alright, I'll try it.
It's all delicious.
Oh, we got like a whole piece of lettuce in there. That
yeah, who got those leaves? I'm just kidding.
Alright, so that is it for this video. It turned out really good. I think it's amazing.
Delicious.
I definitely think that it would please many different people in the household, even maybe some meat eaters, if they weren't like the pickiest meat eaters.
It's just really good. It has very similar flavoring to like stuffing, but a little bit more of like a chewier, meatier texture. And then you get the squash included, so it's like it's just hitting all the spots. And then you have the gravy on top. Like,
yeah, it's good.
It's delicious.
Alright, so that's it. Like and subscribe, and we will see you guys soon with another video. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from us here at Simnett Nutrition.
Bye.
See ya.